Everyone, it is a healing journey when you are able to heal yourself emotionally from the narcissistic parental abuse and then thank the abuser. I wrote this to my mom. Dear Mom, today I went to my neighbor's funeral. It was held as a Catholic Mass. Quite the experience. Several times I was moved to tears, profound tears of shared moments humans have. The small acts of kindness with large ramifications, or is there a better word? A small act can produce a large and lasting result. Well, I'm forever grateful Ken helped you decide to purchase the Raleigh property, or was it Dad? He asked me how I liked my career. I told him how much I get back from clients. They are so grateful for my expertise. I told Dad how happy I was and how I never wanted to retire. He said retirement was boring. He expressed his satisfaction in me that I loved my career so much. What a guy. You picked a good one. I am sure you miss him. Sending love, Kathy. Okay? So she was the most destructive narcissist through her way of destroying the sense of being your own being. That actually, I thank her for that, made it stronger and stronger, and it made me more capable as well as more aware of my divine nature. I became aware of a divine presence when I was in my deepest states of dismay. All of this is due to the fact that her ridicule of my very being and her inability to absorb the love I was freely giving her as a child could not be absorbed by her, but rather was rejected and punished. The I love you, Mom, when I was a kindergartner was met with rebuke, and her retaliation was to tell me that I am wrong for saying I love you because only people who do bad things say that I love you in order to cover up their misdeeds. Therefore, I was sent to my room to think about it and come to her side and confess what I had done that was so bad. Instead, I went into my bedroom and went into my closet where I cried and was met with a very warm sense of a being. I felt like there was more than one. It felt like 2, 3, maybe even 4. I don't recall. But it was in my kindergartner's mind a warmth and a feeling of deep love for me, a child of God. Outside of religion, but having been born in a congregational church, I discovered Christ 5 or 6 years later, perhaps even less, when I was 8 or 9. Yes, it would have been 8 or 9. So it would have been 3 or 4 years later when I did a meditation and I took Christ into my heart. And when I did so, the room filled with gold, my mind and eyes filled with gold, my heart filled with gold, my entire being filled with gold, and there was an instantaneous knowing. I was so excited, I went home to tell my mother I no longer needed to go to church because I was in church every single day of my life. And she said, there'll be none of that. You will go to church. There's no way. And over my dead body, you will refuse to attend church. Well, she's still alive, but eventually I stopped going to church because when I was sitting there listening to the Reverend speak, Reverend Fall is his name, he had a fall from grace in my mind because he was constantly apologizing for his pathetic existence. And how could he, a servant of the Lord, be considered anything like our Savior, Christ. And I knew as a child it's because Christ is our brother, and we are children of the divine Father, Mother, God. And this was all part of my reality as a 9-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever it was year old. It was pubescent. Maybe I was 11. Maybe I was 12. It was before hormones kicked in. It was before armpits smelt. It was before little boobies turned into buds. It was when I was still innocent and very much connected to my divine creator. But then ever since then, I have lived my life as if I already have the Christ light within me. And even though adulthood and growing through the narcissistic abuse of being misguided in my life, I thank my mother for the gift of destroying a path that perhaps would have taken me in a direction of great materialistic success and materialism, but instead her cruelty and mental and emotional abuse, as well as her sabotaging my talents and directions, were such that I learned spirituality and depth and the connection to the divine and to the Christos within myself and without all of us throughout our earth experience here. It's been part of my being because of her cruelty, neglect, disrespect, and abuse. So thank you, narcissistic mother, who's now in assisted living, and this is a card I'm sending to her. I am most appreciative for all those hard lessons. I've learned them, and I've learned them well. Much love to everyone.